welcome to ECCB Connects. ECCB Connects is a weekly podcast produced by the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank to help you understand who we are, what we do, and how we serve you. ECCB Connects is also part of the vision of our newly appointed governor, Mr. Timothy N.J. Antoine, who assumed duties on 1st February 2016. So in this program, you'll meet Governor Antoine and hear more about his vision to transform the ECCB and to engage you, the people of the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union. Governor Antoine, welcome to ECCB Connects.
Thank you very much, Shamalan. I'm delighted to be here.
Before we get into the meat of our discussion today, tell us a bit about yourself. Who is Timothy Antoine?
Who am I? Well, I am a Grenadian by birth, a Caribbean man by adoption, or by vocation, I should say. And I'm an economist by training, but a development worker at heart. And I like to describe myself as a development practitioner based on my expertise, my experience, and my passion. Fundamentally for me, it's about serving. All I've ever wanted to do in my life is serve. And I feel a strong call to fulfill my purpose in my generation. And what's that purpose? Simply put, to work on the big development challenges of our region and to help find solutions.
Okay. Well, you took on the role of governor of the ECCB just over a month ago. Some would say it's a very tall order. Some I've heard describe you as being a very brave person to take on this role. But how has it been so far?
It's been very good so far. And I want to, of course, as I've done previously, pay tribute to my predecessor, Sir Dwight, for his, as I put it, colossal contribution to our region and, of course, the bank. I took this responsibility having been asked by the Monetary Council because I believe I can make a meaningful difference in our region at this time, in this particular position. It's a call to serve, and for me, that's what it's all about. So as a public servant, I'm happy to be able to take on this new role, and so far it's been very good.
So in keeping with your call to serve, you have laid out a vision for the ECCB when you met with staff and the media on your first day in office. You laid out that vision of how you're going to transform the ECCB. But how do you actually see this happening?
So I think my responsibility as a leader and certainly as governor of this bank, my first responsibility was to cast a clear and compelling vision for the bank for the next 5 years. And that's what I sought to do from day one. I think it's very important that the leader gives direction and people know where we're going. Having done that, I then secured the endorsement of the Monetary Council for the vision. And that's very important because ultimately the Monetary Council, which consists of all of the ministers of finance, all of whom are heads of government at the moment, is the highest decision-making body of our central bank. And it's very important that they be fully behind the vision, our vision. So now that the council has endorsed the vision, it's moved from my vision to our vision. And then I've been basically working with the staff internally, the team at the bank, to begin to really understand what this vision means for the bank. What are the implications for the currency department, for research, for bank supervision, for monetary operation, BMOD, so that we entrench fully and properly the new vision in our program of action going forward. And now that we have done that, we're starting to work on a strategic plan. So the vision will only become a reality when, having shared it, we then capture it in a plan, a workable plan, an action plan that we can roll out and we can implement over the next 3 years. 3 to 5 years. So that's what we've been doing. And I'm pleased with the progress so far.
Okay. You speak about the vision, but what are some of the key components of this vision?
Well, certainly, I've set out in the vision statement when I think about a vision, let me just say this. When I think about the word vision and I think about casting a vision, I think about what could be and should be. What could be and should be. So what could we have in the ECCU and in the central bank? And what should we have? And some of the things I've identified is clearly a strong dollar, or EC dollar, that we keep that strong. Sustainable public finances, so that governments are able to have better room to deliver services to our citizens. Single-digit unemployment, which is for me full employment, that people can actually realize the potential by having meaningful work, engaging in things that they're passionate about, raising foreign exchange, so that our EC dollar is well backed, but having meaning and purpose to their lives. A striving currency union, where striving and thriving, where people are not just working hard, but they're seeing where they're going. They could see they're getting ahead in life, as it were. Those are some of the things I see for our region. And then, of course, having seen that at a regional level, what does the central bank do? What must the central bank do to help make this vision a reality? And there's some very specific things at the level of the central bank. I've captured those, converted that vision into 4 strategic priorities, or 4 pillars. So if you think about a house, you think about a building, you have 4 major pillars. And those pillars are financial stability, fiscal and sustainability, growth, development, and employment, and finally, enhancing organizational effectiveness. And the last one is extremely important because this is the central bank. The central bank has to be well positioned, equipped, tooled, skilled to be able to help deliver the first 3: financial stability, fiscal and sustainability, and so on. Now, of course, on fiscal and sustainability, we're working with the governments because we're not the ones dealing with it directly, but we have a role, which is why I talk about fiscal rules. In the case of financial stability, we lead on that because we regulate and supervise banks, and we deal with monetary policy and money and credit conditions, the supply of money and credit. So that's a specific role, and that's why it's our top priority. But then I recognize that even if we attempted to have financial stability and we achieved it to some extent, and fiscal and this, you cannot sustain those in the absence of growth. You have to have a growing economy. And therefore, the issue of growth, development, and employment is also very, very important if we're going to be able to realize this vision going forward.
You seem very passionate about the vision, which is now the vision of the entire ECCB staff. What tangible actions have been taken so far to help move the vision from a concept to reality?
Well, the first thing I think is to make the bank more transparent. And that is something that I feel very strongly about. And what do I mean? The central bank has served the region so well for so long, yet relatively little is known about who we are, what we do, and why we do it. I want to change that. I want to lift the veil so that people can look into our bank, their bank, understand our role, our purposes, our functions, but more importantly, their role in ensuring that we have a strong EC dollar and a strong and thriving currency union. You know, we've had our EC dollar pegged to the US dollar 1 to 2.7 since 1976. Since 40 years. But what does it take for us to maintain that? What's your role as a citizen? What's my role? Our role as central bank? What's the government's role? We need to understand that. We must not take these things for granted. We have to understand how we can. So, making the bank more transparent. And in that regard, I believe what we're doing today, if you ask me for concrete things, I think the first thing we did, one of the first things we did in the first week was to get into the social media space when we launched our YouTube channel. And we said in the vision we were going to use social media platforms. Today, our inaugural podcast, ECCB Connects, is the next step in what we describe in the vision as citizen engagement and stakeholder relations strategy. So if you ask me for concrete things, we've launched a YouTube channel. We now have our weekly podcast, ECCB Connects, up and running. But we've done other things. One of the things I've done, having, of course, shared the vision, is to do a listening tour. So I've been through the entire bank, top to bottom, every department, listening to the views of our staff and our management, and understanding where we are, understanding needs, understanding fears, understanding cares, aspirations, and then, of course, sharing with them what I see as possible strategies, solutions, and so on. That listening has been extremely important in my first month, because it has allowed me to learn and to better understand the team that I'm working with, and for them to learn me as well, because it goes both ways. And I think that is something I feel has stood me in very good stead in my first few weeks at the bank. So that in moving forward with the vision and the strategic plan, I think we have a sense of not just where the bank is going to go, but how we're going to get there together. Understanding that the greatest resource that we have are our people, our staff, our team. And so that I have spent the first few weeks not doing a lot of traveling. In fact, I've done very little external traveling. It's been focused on internally, listening and understanding the team, our team. And I think that's the right approach.
You're watching ECCB Connects, protecting our currency, developing our region. And now for this week's financial tip.
My name is Otis Jeffers, owner of Produce Delight Conscious Farming. Commit to a secure financial future. Many of us start on the right path to financial security, only to be waylaid by unhealthy spending habits that make us veer off course. Renew your commitment to what matters most to you financially. Remember, success is not achieved by how many financial goals you make, but how many you achieve.
This has been our first episode of ECCB Connects, a weekly podcast produced by the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank to help you understand who we are, what we do, and how we serve you. Join us again next week for an exciting program.